This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, I think I could say today is a great day in America, a great day for justice in the American way. You know why? Because it's a terrible day for the evil elf. Yes, Dr. Anthony Fauci, this little tyrant right here, is having a bad day, a bad week. Yes, finally, 84-year-old Anthony Fauci has been exposed. Let's be honest. I think every honest, decent person knows what kind of diabolical little monster Dr. Anthony Fauci truly is. We lived through it. We've been through it. We suffered the consequences. No person has done more damage to this country, hell, to the world as a whole than Dr. Anthony Fauci, who, by the way, is still held up as a hero by the left. That's all you need to know about the force of Trump hatred, the power of Trump hatred. The guy funded the pandemic, let's be honest. He funded the Wuhan lab from which the virus escaped. It killed 7 million people around the world, more than 1 million Americans. It destroyed our economy. It did permanent damage to children. It led to the useless, dangerous vaccine. It is hard to put into words, to put into context the damage that Fauci did. And yet there are kids at Holy Cross University today going to their science classes at the Anthony Fauci Science Complex. He is a distinguished professor at Harvard. He is still held up as a hero by Democrats. At some point, they all have to admit that the man is evil. And thankfully, he couldn't affect the last election. God knows he affected the 2020 election, and that's why they owe him so much. That's why they continue to adore the man. But Trump prevailed in November, and now Trump is undoing all the much of the damage, attempting to undo much of the damage Fauci has done. I'm not sure why he's not in jail already. I'm not sure why he hasn't been handcuffed and frog marched in front of the cameras. Why is this man still free? We know enough at this point of what he has done to this country, what he has done to this world. Someday, somehow, some way, there has to be justice. There has to be accountability. He's 84 years old. He's fabulously wealthy. Time for Anthony Fauci to get a knock at the door and like 20 FBI agents, guns drawn, to take him away at 5 a.m. in a cruiser. Time for an arrest. But we'll settle for this. Yesterday was, again, a bad day for this little monster. Trump did 2 things yesterday. This was the big one, signing an executive order ending gain-of-function research. And I'm sure you, like me, you're asking the question when you hear this, you're saying, how is this even possible? This was banned years ago in this country, decades ago. It is dangerous. I think we can all agree. Real bad things can happen when you try to augment a virus to make it more transmissible and more deadly, and perhaps use it as a bioweapon. Really bad things can happen, like it escapes from a lab and it spreads and it kills our most vulnerable, kills elderly people, affects millions of people around the globe. That's what happened. That wouldn't have happened if Anthony Fauci didn't fund the research in China. Why did he fund the research in China? Because it was banned in this country. So he offshored this nefarious practice, and the result was devastation around the globe. And again, he's still free. He not only is still free, Democrats have their heads in the sand and they're pretending somehow he was a force for good through the whole pandemic. Here it is from the New York Post. President Trump signed an executive order Monday to ban all federal funding of risky gain-of-function research in China, Iran, and other countries, without proper oversight of the experiments more than 5 years from the start of the COVID-19 pandemic that U.S. intel agencies have since said most likely resulted from a lab accident. Of course it did. We knew it did. It is amazing when you think about it today. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you couldn't say the virus came from a lab, even though we all knew it came from a lab. You would be banned on social media. You would be silenced. Medical professionals couldn't even offer their educated guess that it probably came from a lab. They would be shut down. That's how powerful Anthony Fauci was just a couple of years ago. We all knew where it came from. We all knew he lied about bats and pangolins and natural transmission. We all knew that was nonsense. He was covering his own scrawny ass, and it was obvious. But we couldn't say it because he was so powerful. He was such a monster that he would literally shut you down. He would shut down doctors, guys who are now running the FDA and the NIH. Those guys, Bhattacharya standing right there, he shut him down because he knew what Fauci did. It is the greatest crime, the greatest cover-up that we've ever seen in this country. And it's finally and at last coming to an end. Here is Trump announcing or Trump and his people in the Oval Office announcing the end to this dangerous practice, which all it did was, destroy the world economy. That's all. Go ahead.
The first relates to gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is a type of biomedical research where pathogens are adulterated, viruses are adulterated to make them more potent or to change the way that they function. Many people believe that gain-of-function research was one of the key causes of the COVID pandemic that struck us in the last decade. What this executive order does, first of all, it provides powerful new tools to enforce the ban on federal funding for gain-of-function research abroad. It also strengthens other oversight mechanisms related to that issue and creates an overarching strategy to ensure that biomedical research in general is being conducted safely and in a way that ultimately protects human health more.
It's a big deal. It could have been that we wouldn't have had the problem we had.
A lot of people say that, sir.
If we had this done earlier. Thank you.
See the three people standing behind him, Marty McCary, Bhattacharya, and Kennedy, RFK Jr. Those three were the three biggest enemies of Dr. Fauci, and he tried to destroy them. And now they're standing in the Oval Office. We have a picture of triumph, of victory over evil. There it is. These three men working with President Trump are shutting down this insanity that was funded, that was driven by Fauci, the most powerful bureaucrat in American history, the most dangerous, the man who did the most damage to this country that anyone has ever done, and he's still walking free. It's just incredible that we all can't agree. Can I just read? I'm just reading about Fauci and how he was treated by the left because he was so instrumental in defeating Trump. They don't want to hear that he got rich, that he tried to stop therapeutics that would have saved lives. People died because of this man. He didn't want you using ivermectin because he was pushing the vaccine because he was getting rich. Now we get to see, at least to some extent, we get to see the truth. And this is kind of where the left, where Democrats, where the media stands on Fauci at this point. They don't want to hear, they don't want to see any of this. They just want to continue to genuflect before the man. Just looking at his Wikipedia. Fauci's become the subject of tributes and interpretations across various media, including television, literature, merchandising, and internet memes. Author Sally Quinn credited Fauci as the inspiration for the love interest to the protagonist in her best-selling romance novel, Happy Endings. Larry Kramer based the character Dr. Anthony Della Vita on Fauci in his play, Brad Pitt's performance as Fauci on Saturday Night Live earned him an Emmy nomination. In the spring of 2020, amidst the COVID pandemic, bakeries across the U.S. began selling pastries with Fauci's face to pay tribute to his work. There was a documentary on his life produced by National Geographic. They literally deified the man. You remember the candles where he looked Christ-like? All the people who were offended by the Trump meme, Trump as the Pope, they didn't mind when we had these candles with Fauci on there looking like a saint who funded the virus that killed 7 million people and did $4 trillion in damage to our economy. That's the guy. That's the guy who's still a distinguished professor at Georgetown, who is a featured speaker in the Boston Speaker Series coming up in the fall. Yes, he is going to give a speech in Boston, make hundreds of thousands of dollars, because he is a venal little man who will do anything for money. And he still has an audience out there. But we're stopping the madness. Not only did we end gain of function yesterday, dangerous gain of function. There he is. There is the man responsible, as much as anyone, for a pandemic that killed 7 million people. He is people still don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to admit that he was a force for evil. This story's even better from yesterday. This is from Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, the guy who Fauci and his forces tried to destroy, who told the truth, who had the guts to go out there, take the risk, who was banned from social media, who was probably ostracized in his profession, probably cost him a lot of money. He didn't care. He told the truth about Fauci, and he was rewarded by Trump and RFK, and is now your director of the National Institutes of Health. That is perfect. This again from the New York Post. A government research lab that had been used to conduct cruel and deadly experiments on beagles for 4 decades has been shut down. There's another thing. Democrats don't want to hear this. The media don't want to hear this. This is the kind of man Anthony Fauci is. The NIH's controversial in-house clinical center in Bethesda, Maryland, has been accused of pushing pneumonia-causing bacteria into 2,000 beagles. Among other brutal experiments, the closure of the notorious facility dovetails with a broader push by the Trump administration to phase out animal testing. I love this. We need this. Quote, we put forward a policy to replace animals and research with other technological advancements, AI, and other tools that translate to better to human health, Bhattacharya said. We got rid of all the beagle experiments on the NIH campus. So they had beagle experiments for decades. Why beagles? Because they're such good dogs. They're docile, they're friendly. It's easier to torture beagles than it is to torture pitties. So Dr. Fauci chose this. This was exposed by the White Coat Waste Project, a watchdog group that fights against animal experimentation. They exposed it. You have the pictures for me, Ironhead, because I can't even look at these pictures. They got pictures of Fauci's ground troops torturing beagles for experiments, and they don't have any great medical breakthroughs. They didn't learn anything. They didn't cure any diseases because they tortured beagles. Here you go. I can't even look at that. They put the beagles, they put their heads in these little nets, these cages, and put bugs, fleas in there to see how and the beagles were alive, sitting there being eaten by bugs, their heads. It's sick. You have to be a sick person to support this, a sick person to fund this. The White Coat White Coat Waste Project uncovered federal experiments in which scientists cut into beagles to finagle tubing into their lungs so they could pump deadly pneumonia-causing bacteria in there and conduct experiments related to septic shock. After 4 days, any surviving dog would be put down and stashed inside a refrigerator. At least 2,133 beagles died during the process, and the government was estimated to have forked over between $1,000 and $1,500 per beagle to the puppy mill in Cumberland, Virginia. Quote, as the watchdog that first uncovered and battled Dr. Fauci's beagle tests, we're proud that White Coat Waste has closed NIH's last in-house beagle lab following a hard-fought 9-year campaign, said White Coat Waste founder and president Anthony Bellotti. It's over. Fauci's 4-decade-long experiments on beagles. Sorry.
This comment from Deborah here that they took the voice box out of the beagles.
That's true. So they couldn't bark, they couldn't yelp. I mean, it's one thing to experiment on rats or mice. I mean, you have to really be a psychopath to do this to beagles. And yes, Fauci is a psychopath who supported this, who funded this, who defended this. And yesterday, Trump ended this along with RFK and Bhattacharya and Makari. They ended this. This is a bad day for Tony Fauci. He woke up this morning. I assume he put on MSNBC, see what his friends, his supporters are talking about. He didn't hear about this there, but maybe he got online. Maybe someone told him, you know, your experiments on beagles, they're over. You know, gain of function, which you love so much, which you supported so much, that you offshored it. You exported it to China, to Ukraine, to other countries where it was still legal. That's over too, Tony. It's over. Oh, they're still going to give you, award. They're still going to pay you to speak in blue cities and on college campuses. You still get to be a visiting professor or a distinguished professor, I'm sorry, at Georgetown. But all your hard work, it's over. You have been exposed. And now we need an arrest. I know he got the pardon. Imagine defending Fauci, knowing that he begged Joe Biden or whoever was doing the auto pen for a pardon for all the crimes he's committed over his 50-year career. I think at some point, it's one of those deals where at some point, everyone's going to have to admit the man is rotten to the core. I know they worshiped him during COVID. I know he helped them defeat Donald Trump, and that is his signature achievement to the media, to the Democrats. But at some point, we're all going to admit that we were being led by just a monster, just an evil man who was not motivated to save lives. He was motivated to get rich and get power. That's what he was. That's what he is. And I don't think we have enough time left to we don't have much time. Again, he's 84. I know he thinks he's going to live forever. He's a narcissist. And I know he's probably doing okay, but he has to face justice some way, some local DA, some attorney general at the state level in Virginia. Someone has to bring charges against the man. I mean, not like he committed any great offense. All he did was, fund the experiments, the dangerous experiments that killed 1 million Americans, destroyed tens of thousands of businesses, hurt millions of children, destroyed our economy. I mean, I think that's a good place to start, if you're asking me. I think.
Shout out Rich for rescuing 2 of those beagles.
Wow, Rich on the comment line said he rescued 2 beagles from that lab. They don't bark. One doesn't bark. Oh, that is so sad. You have a beagle that Fauci ripped his voice box out so he can't bark, whatever you call it, dog's voice box. Man, good for you, Rich. That you're a good person. You are a good person, and Fauci is a rotten person. He really is satanic. Good word from Debbie on the chat line. He is satanic, and he's still out there. Again, there's a lot of people who have to be brought to justice. We are waiting on Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. I don't know how much longer the people, the 77 million people who voted for this, voted for arrests, voted for justice, how much longer they can wait. But this would be big. Someone has to do this. Again, he got pardoned on federal charges. He got pardoned by Biden because he committed so many crimes. I think it's time. It's time for someone, somehow, some way, to expose him for all the world to see. If you're paying attention, if you read RFK Jr.'s book, if you follow these stories, you know what kind of rotten man he is. But they're still in denial, and we have to wake them up and show what do we got here? Do we get them signing the Beagle bill?
This is the one that him and RFK get into.
Is this explaining the Wuhan, the gain of function, the ban on gain of function? This is good. Trump, as usual, is I don't think he fully grasps the story, but he's doing the right thing here. He's signing this bill, and then RFK explains just how much damage Fauci has done. Again, I give Kennedy credit because he's measured, but if you read his book, if you know what he's exposed about Fauci, you know how outrageous it is that he got away with it for decades and decades, and he got rich for decades. He's the poster child for a government corruption. I mean, he's just an insidious, just nefarious figure in history. And at some point, we're all going to agree. Let's watch.
So it can leak out like from Wuhan, and a lot of people think that. I think I said that right from day one. It leaked out whether it was to the girlfriend or somebody else, but scientists walked outside to have lunch with the girlfriend or was together with a lot of people. But that's how it leaked out, in my opinion, and I've never changed that opinion. So it can leak out innocently, stupidly, incompetently, but innocently, and half destroy the world. Huh?
That's right. That's right, Mr. President.
Mr. President, there are, I think, 3 leaks. BSL-3 and BSL-4 labs are highest rated laboratories almost every week. There's no laboratory that does this right. There's no laboratory that's immune from leaks, and this is going to prevent those kind of inadvertent leaks from happening in the future and endangering humanity. The COVID outbreak cost 20 million lives and cost the world at least $25 trillion. And this executive order is a precaution against us being involved in that kind of research in the future.
That's great. Very honored to do this.
I don't know what Trump's talking about with the girlfriend. Where'd that come from? I don't know if it was the girlfriend. I mean, we do have to answer the question, was it done intentionally? I mean, China has taken a lot of steps to destroy the United States, sending fentanyl here, sending spy balloons over our country. We know they are a bad actor. Did they do it intentionally? We're not sure, but it doesn't matter whether it was intentional or not. What Fauci did was duplicitous. He funded labs he knew were doing the dangerous research. He knew he couldn't do it here, so he exported it, and the result was COVID-19, the most devastating pandemic in 100 years or more. When you look at the total, the cost, as Kennedy points out, there's never been anything like it. And hopefully now with this new ban, there won't be anything like it again, at least not in our lifetimes. All right, we got much, much to get to on this good day. Good day for America, bad day for Tony Fauci and the Democrats. Trump has a plan to get illegal aliens to self-deport, and it is a great plan. I love this plan. I think it's just another step to undo the damage that Biden did in his 4 years. We're going to pay illegals to get the hell out, and we're going to give them a flight, not a flight in, which Joe Biden gave them, free flights into our country. We're going to give free flights out of our country. And it won't solve the whole problem, but it will go a long way to doing. It's just another step to fix the damage. But and we'll get to Portnoy too. Dave Portnoy handled the media beautifully yesterday, and he has an update on his plan to ship 2 anti-Semitic punks to send them to Auschwitz. I think it's going to end up being just one, if any. Already, one of the punks has backed out. We'll get to that and much more. But first.
Excuse me.
Is the U.S. dollar in trouble? We're living in unpredictable times with digital currencies on the rise, a $35 trillion national debt, and inflation still at a 40-year high. Tesla billionaire Elon Musk has warned that the U.S. dollar is heading for destruction and that these factors could bankrupt the U.S. Financial experts are urging Americans to prepare right now. That's why you should strongly consider physical gold and silver to help protect your accounts like IRAs and 401ks. Preserve Gold is giving away a free precious metal guide that contains essential information on how to help protect your accounts. Just text the word Newsmax to 50505. Learn how you can put physical gold and silver into an IRA or a 401k and even purchase precious metals for delivery directly to your home. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews and millions of dollars in trusted transactions with satisfied clients. As an exclusive offer to our listeners, in addition to the free guide, you can also get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. So don't wait. Text Newsmax to 50505 to claim this exclusive offer from Preserve Gold today. Think how insane we went during COVID. We took down names, statues, took down a statue of Abe Lincoln in Boston, took down statues of, Robert E. Lee and we put up statues of Anthony Fauci. We'd stopped naming buildings after war heroes and started naming them after people like this. Just insanity. We've just went insane for 5 years, and we got to fix all that. And of course, I don't think I know we talk a lot about what Biden did to this country, what the open borders policy did, why they did it. We don't talk enough. I mean, we're talking about the crimes committed by Fauci, and there were many. I think we all have to agree at some point that Joe Biden committed treason. I don't know what else you'd call it when you let in 15, 20 million illegals with the express purpose of changing the elections, of getting them counted in the census, whether they could vote or not. They flew them in. They literally put them on jets and flew them into Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, and Boston. Flew them in and gave them hotel rooms and gave them food and gave them Ubers and gave them health care and cost this country billions and billions of dollars. We've never seen anything like that. I mean, hell, we've talked about it. Bill Clinton deported millions. Barack Obama deported 5 million. So Democrats didn't used to abide by this strategy of destroying the country in hopes of winning future elections. Only Joe Biden did that. He's still free. He hasn't been impeached. We impeached Trump twice. We impeached Trump for saying go patriotically and peacefully to the Capitol. We impeached him for a call to Zelensky. And the guy who just left office imported 20 million illegals who committed crimes, killed and dealt drugs, and many of them are still here, and Democrats are fighting to keep them here. It's the idea that somehow that was just, that's just a different political philosophy. We celebrate diversity. Immigrants built this country. What? You brought in, as Trump points out, every day, criminals, gang members, murderers, people from insane asylums, all with they weren't vetted. The same president who fired military members for not getting the vaccine, who insisted you mask up your 2-year-old, who made your grandmother die alone in a nursing home. That guy let in 20 million illegals, unvetted, unvaccinated. I don't think we quite grasp the level of evil that went on for the last 4 years. And now Trump has a big job. He has to undo the damage. And he only has 4 years. And now the strategy is pretty simple. Use the judges, use the courts, attempt to slow him down, if not stop him and keep them here. That's the goal of the Democrat Party. And Trump's team is fighting hard to do what they were elected to do. And this new idea is a great one. I mean, I'm not sure the argument against it. This is from CBS. The Trump administration announced Monday it will offer free airline tickets and $1,000 to some unauthorized immigrants if they sign up for self-deportation and return to their home countries voluntarily. Now, this doesn't affect TDA or MS-13. This is not something scumbags like Abrego Garcia are going to take you up on. They're illegal. They're criminals. But people who aren't criminals, who want to come back here, who understand that if they are forced, if Tom Homan's guys are forced to go get them, that they're not going to get the $1,000 in the free flight, and they're not going to get to come back here. Some of them have American children. They came here and gave birth, and their kids are American, so they want to come back at some point. This is how you do it. You take the $1,000, you take the free flight, you leave, you get in line like everyone else. What's the argument against this? Not only is this safe, does this not require teams of ICE agents to go get you? But this, and it's peaceful. You take the money, you go. It saves taxpayers a fortune. Stephen Miller estimated to arrest, detain, and deport an illegal alien costs $17,000. He said over the lifetime, if it's illegal aliens here, it could cost the taxpayers $1 million. $1,000? That's 2 nights in the Roosevelt Hotel. I asked the question, why would an illegal alien in Massachusetts or New York or Colorado take you up on this? Because it's a big pay cut. I mean, literally in Massachusetts, they get $62 a day for food, plus a hotel, plus an Uber ride, plus translators, plus lawyers, plus school. I mean, they're costing a hell of a lot more than $1,000. So it is a bargain for taxpayers to give them $1,000 and ship them out. And I don't know what kind of numbers they're going to get for this, but if they get, whatever they get, however many, a couple of thousand, it's a good move. It's the way to do it without using the full force of the federal government. It's a great idea. And it highlights the utter madness of the last 4 years. We paid them to come here. We paid them. The first step you have to take is stop incentivizing them. Stop giving them hotels. Stop giving them Ubers. Stop giving them healthcare. Stop the incentive. And this is step one. Here's a way to get a little cash in your pocket, get a free flight, get in line, do it right. Who could be against that? Why would you be against that? Only one reason. Trump did it. That's it. Trump did it. But it's a great idea. I'm not sure, again, the numbers they're going to get, but whatever they get, it's a bargain. Whatever they get, it's a smart strategy. It's a peaceful strategy. It doesn't require guns drawn, kicking in doors and dragging people out of their homes. So we should all get behind it. I want to get to Portnoy here because as we've seen in the past, Portnoy handles the media. He understands what the media is up to. And as he deals with the fallout, we've talked about it for the last couple of days. You have, if you haven't heard the story, two kids, two punks in the Philadelphia bar that Barstool owns, that Portnoy owns. There's a sign on the table that you tell the waitress what to put on the sign. Usually, I think you put up, what you want from bottle service. Send us a bottle of this. And they put on the sign, the waitress put it up after they requested F the Jews. F the Jews. They thought it was funny. One of the two posted this afterwards, the group around the table laughing about the sign. Initially, he spoke. His name is Mo Khan, I believe, a student at Temple who's been suspended. He agreed to Portnoy's plan to send the two guys to Auschwitz on a learning experience, for a teaching moment. Then Khan, I think it's Mo Khan, the Temple guy, Khan. Then he backed out after speaking to Portnoy yesterday. And he said he was acting as a journalist when he posted the video of the F the Jews sign. But some in the media immediately pounced, as they often do with Portnoy, and accused Barstool of being, toxic and being anti-Semitic, which is rich from a media that doesn't seem to mind when students at Harvard or Columbia or any number of colleges get out there and chant for the Intifada or death to Israel. That's just free speech. But this is a sign that Barstool is anti-Semitic. So Portnoy sits down yesterday to do an interview with ABC6 in Philadelphia. And immediately the questions are about, is this the culture of Barstool? Again, if this same sign was held up on the campus of Columbia, these people wouldn't demand, accountability and justice for the Jewish kids on campus. They don't care. We've seen it every day. We saw it at Yale last week, at Harvard. It's just, people upset about the war. People who want to end genocide. But you do it in a Barstool bar, and suddenly it's Portnoy condoning anti-Semitism. And this is just perfect. He sits down, he posts a video, which is the way to do it. This is how you do it, of this interviewer. He explains before he posts this that they did a switch. They had some interviewer who was going to talk to him, some reporter, and they brought in someone else at the last minute to interview him and tried to pin this on Barstool. And he was having none of it. Watch this.
Here's what I would say is causing that type of environment. All these colleges would let Jewish kids get harassed on campus 24/7. I've been speaking out about this since it started. So these professors, I'd love to know. First of all, that sounds like a made-up thing. I don't know what that quote is. The Society of Sport. Where are the professors from? Where are the professors from?
I'll send you the article.
Well, why don't you answer? Where are the professors from?
Okay, let's look back and then go back and see if you want to waste time.
Well, no, you're quoting two people. I have no idea who they are from a made-up journal. So tell me where the professors are
They're
from.
from the University of Virginia.
Okay, so
It's a made-up university.
no, that's a real university. I'd like to know where they're getting their information. I don't like quotes that I have no idea where they're coming from. I totally disagree for what you just said. Who's creating more hate right now in the world? Do you say Barstool Sports and white men or college campuses?
You go ahead and answer.
No, that was a question to you.
I'm the journalist. I'm asking.
Well, I don't play by those rules. What does that mean? You're a journalist? I'm a journalist. I run a big media organization. I just asked you a question.
Let's answer the question.
No, I asked you a question. You answer the question. You answer the question.
You're not running this interview.
All right, then the interview's over.
Oh, man, I love when Portnoy does that. That is just perfect. She says, I'm a journalist. I'm asking the questions. And Portnoy says, I don't play by those rules. I'm a journalist too. And
Journalists want to get the truth, and that lady had an agenda, and it was blatant.
there's no question. And the agenda is, as no surprise, let's portray Barstool as the place where this stuff is tolerated, this kind of bigotry and anti-Semitism. I don't even care that Portnoy is Jewish. That doesn't matter. It's so two drunk 20, 21-year-olds post F the Jews. And it's a huge story, and that's fine. It's a big story. But it's Barstool's fault. But the same kids, if they held up that same sign at Columbia or University of Virginia, they would just be, protesters who are concerned about the war. That's all. These people don't care that Jewish kids are being harassed on campuses, that there's virulent anti-Semitism on some of our elite universities. It's, they're just upset about the genocide. But two drunks in a bar means Barstool's anti-Semitic. That's how to do it. I like that. We'll see how it goes with Mo Khan, because Portnoy's not happy with this guy who posted the video and then claimed he was a citizen journalist. I mean, I don't think that's going to work. And then said that Portnoy, if he wanted to talk to him again, had to talk to his parents. Yeah, sure, kid. We'll talk to your parents, you clown. Hopefully Temple kicks his ass out. I'm sure, again, he'll be able to transfer to any number of universities who don't mind this kind of anti-Semitism. But I enjoyed that thoroughly. All right, I'll tell you what else I enjoyed. Man, we got so much to get to. How much time do we have here? All right, let's go. Let's do this CNN interview. This was remarkable. If you missed it, and you probably did, it was on CNN. But here's the length they will go to somehow fight Trump. They go to Mexico and speak to a cartel member who is, hiding his identities. Not only does he have sunglasses and a mask on that change his voice, but he has gloves on so you can't see, the gang tats on his hands. And he sits down with a CNN reporter who wants to know how Trump makes him feel, how he feels when Trump calls him a terrorist. This is CNN. These are people that would never, I don't think, ever sit down with Laken Riley's mom or Jocelyn Nungary's mom or Rachel Marin's kids or any number of people who've been hurt, killed, poisoned by the cartel. But they go to Mexico to talk to a terrorist and ask how it feels to be labeled by Donald Trump. He's speaking in Spanish. We got subtitles, but listen to the question and the answer is just remarkable. By the way, these are people that lost their minds when Tucker Carlson went to Russia to talk to Putin, find out what, where Putin stands on the war, whatever. That was treason. That was a guy, cozying up to our enemies. But this is journalism. Watch.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea
the situation is ugly, he says, but we have to eat.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Mi respeto, él tiene que...
My respect.
Que, según él, buscar lo mejor para...
He's looking out for his people.
Pero el detalle que ya están los consumidores.
The problem is the consumers in the U.S. If there were any consumers, we would stop. I'm sorry, that answer doesn't fly. He's got a hat on with the Joker on it. Maybe that'll be a way to identify him, but he has respect for Trump for looking out with his people, but he has to eat. So because this guy thinks he has to eat, he's sending fentanyl into our country, killing hundreds of thousands of people. And the idea that labeling them terrorists is in any way controversial is absolute insanity. Hundreds of thousands of people have died. They've killed hundreds. That's more than all the wars since World War II combined. And then in 15 years in Vietnam, we lost 58,000. We've lost 300,000 in the last 5 years or more to fentanyl. And his excuse is we have to eat. And CNN's like, what do you think? He called you a terrorist. Isn't that awful? And the guy says, I give him my respect. I don't think it worked out the way CNN was hoping, but that is amazing. I guess, next they're going to, look for Hamas people and say, how do you feel? Trump called you a terrorist. Does that make you feel? God, that is despicable. All right, we got to get to so much more. We got to get to the draft, the NFL draft. Trump made another. This was just another brilliant move, announcing the draft coming to D.C. from the Oval Office with Roger Goodell and the mayor of D.C., Mario Bowser, who hates him, standing there dutifully next to him. It was spectacular. And Letitia James, New York Attorney General, I don't think she's handling her latest controversy well. We'll get to her and more. But first.
Excuse me.
Are you a yo-yo dieter? You diet, you lose weight, you gain it all back, plus a few extra pounds. Then later you lose it, regain it again and again and again. It's dangerous. You know this. Studies show that you can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is a main reason doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. The science behind Lean is impressive. It's studied natural ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. Listen, if you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created for you. Let me get you started with 20% off when you enter Newsmax20 at takelean.com. That's code Newsmax20 at takelean.com. All right, the NFL draft is like the third or fourth biggest sporting event on the calendar these days. You know, the Super Bowl would be up there, AFC, NFC title games, maybe the national championship game, but the draft is bigger than any NBA game or certainly bigger than any baseball game these days. And every city wants it. Green Bay did a spectacular job of hosting the draft last week. They had estimated 200,000 people attended. Well, it's coming to the nation's capital in 2027. Well, Trump will hopefully still be president, and that will be the biggest one yet. They're estimating somehow, some way, 1 million people will attend the draft, which will be held on the National Mall. This will be we have so many huge events coming. We have obviously the nation's 250th anniversary. We have a big military parade coming in our nation's capital, which will trigger the libs like nothing we've ever seen before. We're going to count the number of times they compare him to Kim Jong-un when he holds this military parade. And we have the Olympics and we have the NFL draft coming to D.C. Here's Trump making the announcement. And behind him, you got the owner of the Redskins, Commanders, whatever. We got Goodell, Burgum, I think, for some reason, and Muriel Bowser, radical mayor of D.C., who despises Trump, and she has to stand there and smile. It's great. Good.
I'm pleased to reveal that the 2027 NFL draft, that's a big thing, will be held right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the National Mall, and you get a little glimpse of it. I was just saying to Roger, I don't think there's ever been anything like that. That's a good idea. In fact, maybe we could use it for other things also. I have an idea. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be something that nobody else will ever be able to duplicate that, I don't suspect. It's very exciting.
I love these little things. I mean, this wouldn't happen with Joe Biden. They just wouldn't think of it, but it's going to be great. It's going to be big. It's going to be patriotic. And it's, you know, what's going to do too is this whole, when Trump was first in office, you know, he was persona non grata to many people. The Philadelphia Eagles boycotted their trip to the White House. The first time they won last year, and they went to the White House. Not everyone, but most of them went to the White House. Teams, it's cool again to be in Trump's orbit. It's cool. And you're going to see it in many ways. But that day when they held the draft there, they're going to be proud to be there, to visit the White House, to hang out with Trump, all these celebrities and athletes. That has changed dramatically. And Trump has another thing going for him too. His enemies, many of them, have lost their minds. We've shown you, many examples of Jasmine Crockett and AOC and all these people just losing their minds. Now, I want to do Letitia James. We'll get to that lunatic. We'll get to Ellie Mistal. But Letitia James is in big trouble. She, and it could be the most, just the greatest poetic justice we've ever seen. She tried to pin a phony case on Trump. She boasted and bragged every day. She sat in court and stared at him when he was held there all summer when he should have been campaigning. He was stuck in a courtroom facing the phoniest of phony charges. As we all know, there was no victim. The alleged bank he defrauded testified on his behalf. It was absurd from the beginning to the end. It was political. Any honest person admitted it. Well, now the woman who brought the charges is facing some serious charges of her own. Seemed to me much more clear-cut. Mortgage fraud. She lied about her primary residence, said she was a Virginia resident. She lied about the number of units in her apartments in New York. She put her father down as her husband, all to get a better rate from the bank. That's fraud. And as Mike Davis, the great lawyer, fighter for Trump, said, her fat ass is going to jail. And it certainly seems like it's well documented, the fraud she committed, but she's not going quietly. This is an amazing thing when you consider it. She sounds like just some lunatic, crazy left-wing socialist. Chicago street preacher. She's the New York Attorney General. She is the leading law enforcement official in the state of New York. And of course, she has a big fight on her hands, and she wants you to know she's going to scream, rant louder than ever. That's her defense, to stand up and just get loud. Listen to this lunatic.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You could come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on, and I will fight on.
Unbelievable. You know what the most outrageous part about that is? You elected me. People elected that. They voted for that. In New York, they voted for her to be the Attorney General. And she holds this event with Al Sharpton standing next to her. Al Sharpton, tax fraud, race hustler, criminal, standing behind her. How could anyone, any Republican, how could any conservative, any white guy who maybe supports Trump ever get a fair trial, ever get a fair hearing in front of her or her people? It's just amazing. But I think she's in real trouble. I don't think there's any squirming out of it. When you have your signature on a document that's clearly fraudulent, and she does. But she's not the craziest Trump hater out there. Yes, we'll get to Elie Mystal. You know him as Q-Tip Head. He's the guy on, I think he's on MSNBC regularly. He has a book out, by the way. He says it's a book about how we shouldn't honor the Constitution because it was made, before the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So that doesn't count. We shouldn't honor anything in the Constitution. We shouldn't honor all those laws made by white guys, like, I don't know, the Emancipation Proclamation. Forget that stuff. We're moving on. But here's how insane the pro-immigration, pro-open borders people have gotten. This lunatic says he doesn't care who kills him if he gets murdered. If he gets murdered, he doesn't care whether it's an American citizen or an illegal alien. I'm not sure he thought this through, but check it out.
Right. Why do I care what their status was when they committed the crime? If you can prove they committed a crime. I say in the book, if I get shot, if I get murdered by an undocumented immigrant, please tell my children I did not care that they were undocumented.
Right.
What did he even say? I shouldn't even have to point this out, but if they were undocumented, Elie, if they were illegal, they shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be there with the opportunity to kill you, which I think means you'd be alive if there were a border and they weren't allowed in to kill you. Do you think Lake and Riley's parents or Jocelyn or Rachel Marin's 5 children, do you think they care whether their mother was killed by a gang member, welcomed into this country by Joe Biden or not? Do you think that matters? I think it's kind of an important detail whether the person who murdered you was supposed to be here or not. That's your defense. That's your open borders advocate right there. I don't care who kills me. If I get killed, he doesn't care if it was an illegal alien. All right, I could do this all day, but all right, we got to leave it there today. Wild day, good day. Good day for America, bad day for Fauci. We're still waiting, Pam Bondi. We're still waiting, Kash Patel. We're counting the days. 107 days, no arrest.
How are they not under more scrutiny, Kash and Pam?
I know they're under a little bit. I think it's coming. I think it feels like any day now, people are just going to say, you were elected to make arrests. You were elected to hold people accountable. We lived through 4 years of Trump's lawyers getting arrested and Trump getting his home getting raided and him being indicted every other day on made up charges. All those people are still free, many of them still out there earning a living. And Fauci's out there probably giving a speech tonight for $100,000 or more. When do we see the arrest? It's time. All right. We got to leave it there. Thanks to everyone for watching, and especially watching on Free speech Rumble. Look at the Rumble. Look at what we did yesterday on Rumble, Ironhead. 63,400 views on Rumble yesterday. We appreciate it. We love Rumble. Keep watching on Rumble. Keep listening. We appreciate it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
To throw out the ceremonial first pitch. Catching his pitch is Nationals pitcher Sean Doolittle. Dr. Fauci, when you're ready, it's your pitch.